How does this keep happening whenever Argentina's opponents are standing in their way? At this point, it has become one of the biggest talking points of the tournament. Argentina have once again moved one step closer to glory. But just like so many times before, their victory did not come without drama, controversy, and a moment that completely changed the direction of the match. Many fans believe there was nothing wrong with what happened. They argue that the decisions were within the rules and Argentina simply found a way to survive when the pressure was at its highest. But when you look at the bigger picture, when you connect every major incident surrounding this team, it becomes almost impossible for people not to start asking questions, because this is no longer about one single decision. It is about a pattern that keeps appearing at the most important moments. Whenever Argentina seem to be in serious trouble, something happens that gives them a lifeline. A controversial call, a review, a referee decision, or a moment that suddenly shifts the momentum back in their favor. So the question everyone is asking is simple. Is Argentina just experiencing an unbelievable run of luck? Are these events nothing more than random coincidences? Or is there something bigger influencing the outcome of these matches? Before jumping to conclusions, it is important to understand that Argentina have not had an easy path through this tournament. The defending champions have been pushed to their limits in almost every knockout game. They have faced situations where one mistake could have ended their entire campaign. They were not dominating every opponent. Instead, they were fighting through difficult moments and finding ways to survive. In this quarterfinal, the story was exactly the same. The atmosphere was intense, the pressure was massive, and Argentina knew they were facing a team with nothing to lose. They started strongly and quickly found the opening goal, giving their supporters hope that this could become a comfortable night. But football rarely follows the script. Their opponents refused to collapse, grew stronger with every passing minute, and started creating problems that exposed Argentina's weaknesses. And then came the moment that changed everything. At first, everything looked like another routine Argentina victory. A quick goal gave them control, and for a moment it seemed like the defending champions were heading toward another comfortable result. But the opponent had different plans. Instead of losing confidence after going behind, they responded with courage and started attacking with more intensity. They controlled possession, pushed Argentina deeper into their own half, and created chances that made the world champions look surprisingly vulnerable. As the match continued, the balance of power began to change. Argentina were no longer controlling the game. They were trying to survive it. Their opponents were winning battles in midfield, finding spaces between the lines, and forcing Argentina's defenders to work under constant pressure. The statistics told the same story. The team fighting against Argentina was creating more danger, moving the ball better, and looking like the side more likely to score the next goal. Eventually, that pressure became impossible to ignore. A brilliant attacking move resulted in the equalizer, and suddenly the entire mood of the stadium changed. The team that was expected to challenge Argentina had found belief, while the champions were facing another difficult test. At that moment, an Argentina exit did not look impossible. It looked like a real possibility. Then came the incident that completely transformed the match. Only minutes after the equalizer, a controversial challenge near the touchline created a huge debate. The referee initially made one decision, but after a review from the video officials, everything changed. The situation became even more complicated, because the review was not originally about the challenge itself. Instead, it focused on whether the correct player had received the punishment. When the referee went to the monitor, the decision was reversed. The booking was removed from one player and given to another. Because that player had already received a yellow card earlier in the match, the consequence was devastating: a second yellow card and a red card. Suddenly, Argentina's opponent was reduced to 10 men at the most. Important stage of the game. A team that had been competing equally moments earlier was now forced to defend with a numerical disadvantage. The players were frustrated, the fans were shocked, and the entire momentum of the match completely shifted. This was the moment that turned a close battle into a completely different contest, and it raised a question that would continue to dominate the conversation long after the final whistle. Was this simply a correct application of the rules, or was it another controversial moment that changed Argentina's destiny? The strange part about this moment was not only the decision itself, but how rare this type of situation actually is. A player being sent off at a World Cup because of a second yellow card for simulation is something that almost never happens. In a tournament filled with dramatic falls, questionable challenges, and players trying to influence referees, seeing a dive punished in such a decisive way is extremely unusual. And that is exactly why this incident created such a massive reaction around the football world. For Argentina's opponent, it felt like everything they had built during the match disappeared in a matter of seconds. Before the red card, they were confident, organized, and causing serious problems. They had a clear strategy, they were controlling important areas of the pitch, and they looked capable of creating one of the biggest surprises of the tournament. But after the sending off, the entire game changed. The spaces disappeared, the pressure increased, and defending against Argentina with 10 players became almost impossible. Argentina immediately took advantage of the situation. With an extra man on the field, they started controlling possession, pushing forward, and creating wave after wave of attacks. The opponent, who had been the more dangerous side before the controversy, was now fighting simply to stay alive. Their entire tactical plan had been destroyed by one decision made after a review. Eventually, Argentina found the breakthrough in extra time. A moment of individual brilliance produced a stunning goal that gave them the lead when the pressure was at its highest. Later, another goal sealed the result and sent Argentina into the next round. The scoreboard showed a victory, but the debate had already started. After the match, frustration from the losing side was impossible to hide. Players and officials questioned how such an important game could be influenced by a decision that came from a complicated review process. They argued that the match had been heading in their favor before the red card, and that everything changed after that single moment. However, there is another side to the story. The rules exist for a reason, and simulation is considered a form of cheating in football. If a player deliberately tries to deceive the referee, punishment is part of the game. The officials followed the rules that were available to them, and many supporters believe Argentina should not be blamed for taking advantage of a situation created by their opponent's mistake. And this is where the debate becomes complicated. The question is not only whether the final decision was correct. The bigger question is why so many controversial moments involving Argentina continue to create suspicion and discussion among fans around the world. The real controversy surrounding Argentina is not built on one single incident. It comes from the feeling that these moments keep appearing again and again whenever the pressure reaches its highest point. Critics argue that the problem is not that every decision is necessarily wrong, but that the biggest calls somehow always seem to arrive at the perfect moment for Argentina. Meanwhile, their opponents are left wondering what could have happened if those moments had gone differently. This is where the role of VAR has become a major part of the conversation. The technology was introduced to make football more accurate and fair, but throughout this tournament, many fans have questioned whether it has actually improved the game or simply created new controversies. There have been situations where supporters expected intervention but saw nothing happen, and other moments where VAR stepped in and changed the entire direction of a match. That inconsistency is what frustrates many people the most. Fans are not only debating individual decisions, they are questioning the overall approach. Why does VAR sometimes stay silent during obvious-looking situations, but then become heavily involved in moments that seem much smaller? When technology changes the outcome of a major knockout match, every decision naturally receives intense attention. At the same time, accusing Argentina of receiving unfair help is a much bigger claim. There is no undeniable proof that matches are being manipulated, and many decisions can be explained through the rules of the game. Football has always had controversial refereeing moments, and every major tournament creates arguments about fairness and mistakes. Even some of Argentina's opponents have admitted that the situation is more complicated than simply blaming the champions. A wrong decision, a confusing rule, or a referee mistake does not automatically mean there is a conspiracy. Sometimes football is decided by moments of chaos, and the biggest teams are often the ones who know how to survive those moments. But the reason this debate continues is because Argentina's journey has created a strange combination. They are a team with incredible quality, led by one of the greatest players in history, yet they have also found themselves involved in a series of controversial situations. Both things can be true at the same time. Argentina are talented enough to win matches on their own, but every controversial moment adds another layer of doubt for millions of fans watching around the world. And now, as they move closer to the biggest games of the tournament, every referee decision, every VAR review, and every 50-50 moment will be analyzed more closely than ever before. So where does this leave Argentina and the tournament as a whole? The truth is that the situation is far more complicated than simply saying Argentina are being helped or saying every controversy is meaningless. Football does not work that way. A team can be extremely talented and still benefit from moments of luck. A referee can make a correct decision and still create a situation that feels unfair to the team on the receiving end. Both realities can exist at the same time. Argentina's journey has been a mixture of brilliance, pressure, survival, and controversy. They have shown the mentality of champions by finding ways to win even when they are not playing their best football. Their biggest stars have delivered when it mattered, and their younger players have stepped up during moments when the team needed new heroes. But at the same time, every controversial decision surrounding them has increased the attention and the criticism. The biggest problem for the officials and football authorities is trust. Once fans begin to believe that decisions are inconsistent, even a correct call can become controversial. People stop judging only the moment itself and start judging it based on everything that happened before. That is why every future Argentina match will come with enormous pressure on referees and VAR officials. Every whistle, every review, and every decision will be examined from every possible angle. For Argentina, the challenge is not only winning matches, it is also dealing with the storm that follows them everywhere. Their opponents will believe they deserve fairness, while Argentina will simply argue that they are taking advantage of the opportunities in front of them. In the end, the only thing they can control is what happens on the pitch. The next matches will decide whether this Argentina side creates a legendary story or remains one of the most debated teams in modern football. If they continue winning, the conversations will only become louder. Supporters will celebrate a champion's mentality, while critics will continue questioning the moments that helped them survive. One thing is certain: Argentina's run has become one of the biggest stories of the tournament. Not just because of their football, but because every match seems to bring another unforgettable moment. Whether you believe it is destiny, luck, great management, or simply football's unpredictable nature, millions of eyes will continue watching every move they make. Because when Argentina step onto the pitch, the world is no longer watching just a game. They are watching a story filled with pressure, controversy, emotion, and history, and that is exactly why this tournament will be remembered for years to come.